What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Track Talk Podcast. We are your hosts, Emma, Hannah, and sometimes Boston.
Did you guys just see that man walking by?
We are off the rails after 30 seconds. Okay, no, we're actually going to keep it together as best as we can. However, the three of us are in person. This is the first time we've ever recorded with Boston in person. You guys know her at this point. I don't need to introduce her. She's just, we talked about today, she's a character in the Track Talk universe.
Yeah.
I originally was deemed the third honorary co-host of Track Talk, but my title has been since taken away.
No. It hasn't been taken away.
Demoted me to part-time, which I share with David Malukas. Which honestly, if I were to, I could do that. I could share.
Yes.
That is not an official announcement of David being our third co-host. We were just joking with him this weekend.
Let's explain where we are, what we're sitting on. So we just finished up at the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge, and we'll get into it. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking. And we are back in Hannah's hotel room. Boston, what are you sitting on?
I'm sitting on the worst chair in the whole world. The ass chair. But
That's
can
what
you
it's called.
can you bleep that out for just like dramatic effect? Because I feel like beeps are so funny.
One time I asked her, we're doing a really big announcement, and one time I asked her to put a drum roll in,
and she didn't.
and she didn't.
Well, she did that for the thermal announcement.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yes, I'm sitting
That was last
on
week.
what I have deemed the fuck ass chair, because this chair, we also have the same chair in our hotel room, Em and I, and it is just the worst chair in the whole world. It has been a pain in my ass all weekend. It's always in the way. No matter where, I could be taking a shower and it's in my way. And I don't know how. So I hate this chair. But I feel like, sorry. Oh my God. I just get so angry about this chair. It's appropriate that I sit on it, for maybe an enemies to lovers effect. I don't know.
Okay, if those watching on YouTube wondering what we're looking at, we have Boston's it's the audio levels.
Oh, the audio.
We're just making sure she doesn't yell. You want to get into the weekend? I mean, or how this whole thing started.
Yeah, I think we should go in chronological order because people know we're here.
That's a big word.
But we should chronological.
Mm-hmm. I can't spell it.
That is the second time this weekend you've been like.
What was the other word you used? It wasn't juxtaposition, but it started with a J.
No,
Maybe a P?
I've used the word jaunt a couple times.
I hate that word.
I did say something at dinner last night.
It was about think about thinking.
Percolate.
What the fuck is that?
But wait,
word?
I didn't say it. Mackenzie said it, and Emma goes, "That's just not a word I know."
It's not.
Most people would just say, "What does that mean?" No.
No one explained what it meant.
That's just not a word I know.
No one explained what it meant.
Anyway, enough with the vocab lesson. Should we get into the weekend?
Okay, starting on Thursday. So Emma and I flew out super early. We knew it was going to be a long day because we were going immediately from the airport to the track to do the track walk. We had approximately an hour and 15 minutes in between, which was crazy.
We got ready in the car.
Maybe some of you guys have, but have you ever been friends with somebody for 6 months, met them in person for the first time, and 20 minutes later take your pants off? Maybe you have if you've been on Tinder, but memories.
I did not have a choice.
It was fine. I mean, I was not weirded out.
No.
I think it was fine. You guys needed to do I had the luxury of waking up at a reasonable hour and showering and getting ready and then taking a nice 2-hour drive out to Palm Springs. But
How leisurely.
it was a great day.
We got to Thermal Club. For those, again, who are maybe unfamiliar, it is a motorsports country club. There are condos.
It's not even a condo. They're full-on mansions that overlook. They don't have backyards or anything like that. They overlook this
Track.
this racetrack,
And
and it is so unbelievably epic.
It's like living on a golf course, but you're living on a racetrack.
yeah.
And there's garages below. The houses are built on top of their garages. So you can just drive out of your garage, essentially onto the track. It's like booking a tea time, but you're booking a racetrack session. So everyone there has a lot of dollars.
Anyway, yeah, so we had the opportunity. Well, they had the opportunity. They were invited out by IndyCar to come hang out at a very exclusive event that was
It was a made-for-TV event, so there weren't really spectators there. There were a few, some small grandstands, but it was really just like a TV broadcast. So the grounds were very open to everybody that was there. The drivers were just kind of around. Like at one point, like we were getting lunch and Christian Lundgaard was just there getting lunch too. It was just very accessible for the people that were there, and it was not crowded at all. And we had like full access.
As exclusive as this event was, and as like cool as it was very, very chill. Of like, we were just walking around, grabbing lunch, doing like,
going into the pits.
Going into the pits, doing all this kind of stuff. And just like everybody was just kind of around doing their own thing. It was very lax.
So we started off, like as soon as we got there, doing a track walk. If you saw on Instagram, we had posted a track walk with track talk on a golf cart to see how many drivers we could get to wave at us.
Which was fun.
Which was very fun. And truth be told, we had a few ideas going into this weekend. We knew our job was to create content, but we came up with ideas honestly like an hour before we had to execute them. Yeah. And way to go us, I think.
You guys did a great job.
And like we were on golf carts and like we weren't interrupting anything. It was just waving at them. I want to say that Pietro Fittipaldi seemed like one of the happiest to like he was like
really friendly.
He was very friendly when we waved. We didn't really talk to him at all, but he was very friendly. That is also where we met David Malukas.
I was about to say the only driver that we really talked to that day was David Malukas. We met him. Well, we all met him for the first time in person on the track walk. He was out there with the team, still doing his, driver duties, just with one less arm. And we got to talk to him. They did an interview with him later that day as well, which was really, really cool and fun.
Yeah, but I think it was just like similar to like our experience with you, where it's like we've known you for so long and we finally meet you. It was just like kind of a fun, like we drove by. And then shout out Julia. I want to we're going to drop some names in this podcast, and I want to just like keep it organized. But Julia she's part of the IndyCar content team, and she's who helped us this weekend, took us around places, drove the golf cart, shot clips for us, edited clips for us. She mainly works with Indy Next, but she's been helping out with the NTT IndyCar series this year as well. And she's just like,
she's amazing. Julia, if you're watching this, we love you.
We love you. And
so much.
We drove by the Aero guys, and then we were kind of like, oh, that was David. And then she kind of turned around. She's like, let's go back and see him. And when he saw that we turned around, he kind of walked towards us too. And like the second he saw us, he was like, hey guys, I didn't know you were going to be here, which I think he did. He probably just didn't know we were going to be there at that moment. But we got out of the golf cart, we gave him a big hug. Like it was just like, that's our friend.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, again, obviously I was not a part of the situation where you guys have interviewed David a couple of times, but he's such a friendly person that like I felt like I had known him for a while, and like I introduced myself to him. I was like, I'm Boston, I'm helping out with him this weekend. And he's just such a down-to-earth, awesome, easy to talk to guy. Like he was just immediately asking questions about us, how we're doing so far, how was the trip been, all this kind of stuff. We're asking him about his experience so far, asking him how he was doing and his recovery. Just super, super easy to talk to.
If you haven't already seen our video with him, we put that out only on YouTube, so YouTube exclusive. Go check it out. But honestly, like he's the easiest driver I would say to talk to on the grid.
You guys, purposely did not prepare any material going into this thing because we didn't want it to be an interview. We wanted it to be a conversation, and we knew that he was so easy to talk to that you didn't need to prepare anything. Like literally, before we were even recording, we were just sitting and chit-chatting, and as soon as the camera was on, it was literally the same thing as the camera was off, of just like, really just friendly, friends, really awesome guy, couple of silly gooses, just talking the shit.
And we didn't know how much time we would get with David this weekend, but then we heard, we knew he wasn't driving, but he was so willing to do as much content as we wanted.
Like at first I'm yapping a lot. So at first I kind of felt bad because we kept running into him and we're like, oh, could we do this? And oh, we've thought of this idea and all this kind of stuff. But every single time that we ran into him and asked to like borrow 20, 30 seconds of his time, he was always so down for it.
One of my funniest moments, I think, with him was so in the interview, we prepped Canadian trivia and we asked one question. Like, this is how ridiculous it was. It was like, we asked him the one question, we went on a tangent, and then we did not do the rest of the segment. So then we saw him again the next day, and we were like, hey, can we steal you for a second again? We're going to do the rest of the trivia. And then we were also like putting together like compilation videos with other drivers, which are yet to come out, but they're being edited. And it was like, we were asking him the same questions, and I had 2 questions for him, and then Emma took on the rest. And I'm standing there with him, and I'm like, I asked him my 2, and he's like, that's it? We're not doing anything else? And I'm like, okay, well, Emma has more questions for you, but like, what else do you want to do? Like,
What else?
how much time do you want to spend with us?
What do you want from us?
I said to him, I was like, we just spent an hour with you yesterday, and now we're seeing you again. You really are not sick of us yet? And he was like, no, I love this shit.
Yeah. And like, I mean, drivers, they're all media trained, so it's easy for them to be like, yeah, like, no, this is great. But we talked to the comms team on Aaron McLaren, Alex and Lauren especially, but they like assured us that no, David actually enjoys chatting with us. Like, it's different than just other media obligations. Yeah, he's a hoot. He's actually like a third host at this point as well. So that was immediately after the track walk though. And I just want to say that for majority of this weekend, this is off topic, we were really struggling to find Colton Herta. Colton, we could not find you. But I think it's because we noticed it after the track walk. We were like, oh, none of us saw Colton.
Yeah.
And then it was the next day on the Friday as well. We were like, has anyone seen Colton?
So the thing is that we saw Colton's car on track.
Yes.
Multiple times. Anytime we were watching, the track or the broadcast or something like that, we saw Colton's car on track and we're like, we know Colton's here. But anytime we were walking around trying to film stuff and we were kind of just like making a list of what clips of drivers we have and what we don't have and all this kind of stuff, Colton was never there. And then whenever we actively were looking for him, he was not there. So I was convinced he was not actually there.
We knew he was there because Connor had been hanging out with him. This is the second person I'm going to make a little asterisk for, was the part of the creator team was Ash Vandelay and Connor Daly. And Connor flew in a day early with us. Ash came the next day. So we got to have dinner with Connor, and he had been with Colton. Like, Colton was there. We knew that.
Sorry, another asterisk. Connor Daly was a driver. He is a driver still. He is racing part-time. He's at a few races this year, and he raced a bit last year. He still races, but not full-time with any series.
But he'll be in the at Indy 500.
Yes.
So that would be the next thing that you guys can look out for him for. But yeah, he was part of the creator team with us. I'm just going to say it. I had no idea what to expect from him. Like, absolutely nothing. And I didn't know how he was going to feel about us. I think is the most important part, was like, this is like a driver, and he could very easily have looked at us and been like, who the hell are you girls? Like, and that's just so not what we got from him. We got like,
hey, what are you doing? You want to grab dinner?
Yeah. Like, such a welcoming vibe. Yeah. And not that I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't like pleasantly surprised or anything, but like,
we didn't know, what his personality was like, what he was going to think, and what his kind of goals and objectives and how he was looking forward to this weekend. But, he also is a hoot. Like, he was awesome. He was so great to be around, talk to. He actually, huge shout out to him, because anytime we were a little bit anxious or nervous to like approach a driver, talk to a driver and all that kind of stuff, he offered to go in and break the ice for us of just like, oh, I know him. Next time you want to go approach him, come with me. I'll help break the ice. And so he was just so welcoming and inviting, and was kind of like rooting for us of just like, we want to help you guys get as much content as possible and get the best content possible. So shout out Connor. You were awesome. We loved hanging out with you this weekend. And we're so excited to see, what you kind of do for the rest of the season, because we really enjoyed hanging out with you.
Yeah, we had like so many jokes with him at the end.
Honestly.
Like, he would just pop up out of nowhere. We would lose him for the whole day. And then he'd just show up.
There were so many times where like, has anyone seen Connor? And like, no one had. But then at the weirdest times he would show up. The next day we were like doing quick rapid fire questions with a few drivers. Shows up out of nowhere, snaps a few photos for us, disappears again.
He always shows up 5 minutes after you need him, though. Like, if we weren't actively like with him and be like, you need to come with us and help us with this thing, anytime that we were like, oh, we kind of wish Connor was here, he'd appear 5 minutes later for like 2 minutes and then disappear again for another few hours. It was so funny, because we were like, where were you 5 minutes ago when we could have used you? And he was just like, I was over there talking to this guy.
No, at one point he was in the condos. Like, he was in some man's condo. He like got a...
I don't know how he got in.
I'm pretty sure he probably just knocked on the door and asked to go in.
He's also friends with everybody.
Yes.
He knows every person in IndyCar.
We were joking because like every time we'd be like walking around with him, like someone would come up and be like, hey, whatever, dap him up, whether it was a fan, whether it was someone worked with the teams. And we were always like, Connor's networking, looking for a spot next year.
I think one of the funniest parts from the weekend, we were all sitting on the picnic bench.
Yeah.
And this guy a fan walked by wearing a Connor Daly shirt. And Connor just looked at him and was like, nice shirt. And the guy just went, thank you, and kept walking. And we were all like, does he know that
That's-
Connor Daly just said he liked your Connor Daly shirt. Like, we think maybe
Like, it could have been like, I've seen you around and I've talked to you before, so I'm not gonna like stop and chit chat with you. But also, like, he could very easily, the way that he said, like, oh, thank you, the way that he said it, it was like, that. Do you know that's Connor Daly?
like, obviously you're gonna be wearing a shirt of a driver that you like. So if I was wearing like a Joseph Newgarden shirt and I'm just walking, minding my own business, and all of a sudden someone says, hey, I like your shirt, I feel like I would recognize them.
Right.
And if it's Joseph Newgarden, even if he's wearing sunglasses, even if he's wearing a hat, like, no, I know that jawline. Like,
Right.
like I know it'd be Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, I think like obviously it was like hilarious because all of us just started laughing when the guy walked by, but I think it's like that would be such a humbling moment for me.
Yeah.
He's such a good sport
I
that he
know.
didn't take it that way. He was also laughing of just like, he probably doesn't know who I am and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, shout out to Connor.
Shout out Connor.
Well, actually, so we were also at the picnic tables. I'm just gonna tell this story because it's funny. But we were another time when Connor popped up out of nowhere. We were going to dinner, and we were talking about like who's gonna drive to dinner because like whatever, we'll have a drink or two. And Boston was like, yeah, I can drive. Like, I'm not gonna drink tonight anyways. I have to be up early, so like I can't drink tonight. And Connor shows up at the very time when she said that, sits down beside her and goes, I can.
like, perfect timing. And we were like, where did you come from?
I just want to point out nobody like got drunk or anything. Like
No. We were all very
we just had
responsible.
like one or two drinks.
We
Like
drinks with
no
dinner.
one needed to be driving, so except for a sober driver. So
And I was said sober driver. And speaking of which, and kind of going off of that story, I think one of the not scariest, but most like imposter syndrome things that have ever happened in my life. I of course offered to drive. You know, they're Canadian. They don't really feel super comfortable driving in the States. I'm a native Californian. I feel super comfortable driving in California. And so I was like, yeah, if I'm gonna come, I'm gonna be your guys' show for the weekend. I have a car, whatever. And Connor sits down and all this kind of stuff. He's like, well, we can get an Uber and we're all staying at the same hotel. So I'm like, no, Connor, like, I'll drive you. I'll drive Ash and all this kind of stuff. Like, I have an SUV. Everybody can fit. But then as I was getting ready for dinner, I was like, I'm going to have a race car driver, a professional, I just spit, a professional race car driver in my shitty SUV. I'm going to be driving him to dinner. And I told him this because he's such a funny, sorry, I'm yelling. He's such a funny guy and he's such like an easy going person that I told him, I was like, okay, there's a few rules before you get in my car. You're not allowed to be backseat driver. You are not allowed to judge my driving. And if you're going to judge my driving and if you're going to give me a zinger, it has to be good and it has to be funny.
well, actually, before we even got to that point, we told him he was not allowed to sit in the front.
Yes, I told him he was not allowed to sit in the front because that made me so nervous. And
It's just me, Emma, and Connor in the backseat.
It's weird. It was like a little field
and
trip
Ash
or
sat in the
something.
front seat. And I'm driving to dinner and he didn't say anything. He actually said, once I did my parking job, he was like, very nice. And then he didn't say anything about my driving. And so that was really, really great.
You impressed a race car driver.
I impressed a race car driver. Little old me. What can I say?
That's right.
That brings me to another inside joke that we had. We're not going in chronological order, by the way. We're just jumping
When
around.
you
but
said, yeah.
hope y'all can follow. But before the weekend even started, you know, like Boston has done some work for us in the past in terms of like social stuff, like editing and stuff. So it was a no-brainer that because she lives so close that she would come and help us out this weekend. And honestly, we really needed her as a videographer, behind the scenes stuff, content help, editing help. Like you did everything. But the joke before we came here was that she was like, oh, I'll get you guys coffee, I'll grab you guys lunch. And we were like, Boston, you're a friend and you're like gonna be helping us. Like you're not our intern. Like we're not sending you to fetch me. I'm not sending you to fetch me coffee.
You're not our assistant. Like, that's not what's happening.
That's not what's happening. And then slowly over the weekend, I started to unironically treat her.
responsibilities.
Mind you, it started because I was wearing a skirt for the first 2 days. Well, a skirt, but like with really short skirt underneath, whatever, shorts underneath. And I did not want to bend down and tie my own shoes. And so she so graciously volunteered. And then it just became like a bit like Boston's not my assistant, but like we've like made a video and stuff about it. It's
Huge disclaimer, they did not make me do these things. I am very much a control freak. I've also been a television production assistant for the past 3 years. Like, it is just naturally what I do, is just doing the dirty work, assisting people. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of love it. Like, I'm 100% transparent. I kind of love doing that stuff. So when I was offering to tie shoes, offering to go get lunch or water or coffee or hold bags or, you know, set up mini mics and all this kind of stuff, like, it was just out of like second nature for me. That was just what I just started to do. So no, they did not make me do any of this stuff. I happily did it. And they are also the ones who let me tag along with them and have this incredible experience. So it's the least that I can do in return. Also, another element to this is that sometimes they do these things and I just hate the way that they do them. So I have to step in and just be like,
What?
What
What do we do that you
What do
hate?
we do that you hate?
like, you were holding your box and you just couldn't fold it in correctly. And I was just
we were
like,
in a dust storm, and I had a million other things in my hand.
And I was just like, just give me that. And then you're like, no, because then you're holding my lunch. I'm like, yeah, but I hate the way that you're trying to like micromanage right now. Honestly, I could do it a little bit better. So
She held my lunch so good.
my dad's calling. Hold on. Sorry, Dad. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to the IndyCar social content team for putting up with her shenanigans.
Shout out to Joe from the
Shout out
comment
to
team,
Joe.
because we were all at dinner. So it was in a row. It was Hannah, Boston, Ash, me, Connor Daly beside me.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said his full name. And
Mackenzie.
then Mackenzie and like, you know, the rest of the social media
Joe.
team. Yeah.
Julia.
And then Rob. Can't
was
forget
there
Rob. Shout out Rob, all the graphics. Shout out Joe, because the Formula One race was on while we were at dinner. And so we were like, we had it up per like against a glass, right?
And mind you, this is like a kind of a really nice, very nice restaurant that they are taking us out to dinner to so that we can, you know, socialize. We're all having very nice dinner. We're all dressed pretty nice. And we are like, well, it's race time. We must watch the race.
And so we had it up, and then Joe reaches over and like grabs the phone and just had it up against his forehead like he's playing a game of headbands or something.
But then he is also trying to watch March Madness. So he goes, he goes to Emma and he goes, all right, if I'm going to hold this for you, he hands her his phone and goes, you must hold this up.
So,
and I have a video of it somewhere, and it's Joe holding Emma's phone and Emma holding Joe's phone so that we can all watch our respective sports at this really nice restaurant. We are just like literally,
and
we're hollering with laughter.
And we're all here for IndyCar too. That's
Yes.
the funniest thing.
Is we're all here for IndyCar, a completely different sport that none of us are watching at that current time.
There's nothing on. It was 9
It was,
p.m.
yeah, true. But like,
Yeah.
continue.
It's a little off topic now, but I think the funniest part of that dinner was that, so we were at a table, all of us. We were like a social media content team, right? And there is a family event or a birthday party or something happening at the table beside us. And they're taking like photos, like group photos. This person's out, this person's in the photos, blah, blah, blah. And I think that, I just think back and I'm like, they had no idea that they literally had a social media content team sitting right beside them.
Professionals.
They could have asked.
People who do this for a living.
They just could have asked us. I mean, they didn't know. But
no, they didn't know. It was just
fair.
so funny.
Connor got a good photo of us three and Ash watching the F1 race.
It's on my Instagram.
It's like a proud dad moment almost. Like,
he did that a couple times though, where like we
Yeah.
had a thermal content team group chat on WhatsApp, and Connor, when he would pop up, he'd take a picture of us doing whatever we were doing, and then at a random time in the day, he'd throw them in the group chat,
We're
and
like,
it literally was like a proud dad moment. Like, he threw one in there of us interviewing the Penske guys, and I was like,
and then he dipped off. We're like, where'd you go?
like, proud
One
dad.
No, one photo. You know, we're content creators. Props to Connor. His full-time job is not content creator. It's driver. So, you know, we will take 80 photos in a row. Connor will take the one.
He'll snap one good one,
Maybe.
and
Hit
or miss.
then he leaves.
Yeah, and he's gone.
But
He
shout out Connor.
vanishes.
I also just want to point out, at that dinner, we were watching the race, and I had said Lance Stroll was going to finish 6th. He did finish 7th, but then it was a disqualification.
It was it wasn't a disqualification. It was a 20-second time penalty.
20-second time penalty, so he did actually end up finishing 6th. That was my proud moment at dinner.
The funny thing is that, so we put F1 on and we're like, whatever, we're just going to put it on at dinner. Like, we haven't had to actually watch a full F1 race this season to know what's happened. So we'll just put it on, and then we'll just like be at dinner and we'll be in the moment and whatever.
We're like, Max is going to win this. We know what's happening.
whatever. After like the first like lap, we were like, okay, like Max is in the lead. He got away. Fine. We're like, okay, might as well turn it off. Bye, Max. See you later. Obviously, Ash is a partner with Oracle Red Bull Racing. So she was like, hell yeah, like Max has got this. Mm-hmm. And then slowly we all realized what was happening.
It was the smoke. And we were just like, what?
Because at first I thought he had a lockup. And then I was like, oh, it must be something mechanically or something like that. They're good. They had literally have built a rocket ship that's faster than sound. And then he started getting on the outside and dropping back.
And we at this point dinner had come. They had
I wasn't even eating. My food was just sitting. We were all like even Julia was invested. Julia, me, Boston, Ash, Emma, Connor, we're all like this. We're like huddled in.
Photo that I posted, it's literally me and you. Our heads are together, and under the table are our arms are wrapped around each other because we are just so giddy with excitement that this is actually happening. That we were like jumping up and down. Again, super small restaurant. It's pretty crowded in there. We're like, yes.
The whole table. Basketball game, the March Madness game that was on, that was going to double OT. It was a crazy game. Yeah. And the guys were watching it. So they were so invested in the double OT basketball game and we were so invested.
And on the other side of the restaurant, there was a bar that had the March Madness game on. And so everybody in the restaurant was just buzzing about something. It was already pretty loud in there. So we weren't being chaotic or rambunctious or anything like that.
We're going to say right now, we're not putting it on F1 episode.
Yeah.
But because truth be told, we fell asleep watching qualifying. Woke up to see what the results were. We watched most of the race at dinner. We turned it off.
We turned the race off 4 laps before the finish of the race, right before George had crashed out. We didn't even find out about George's crash until 30 minutes later, until we got back to the hotel and that we're in bed and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have a good perspective of this week's race. So,
but fan behavior said they're going to put out a long episode, so give that a listen.
Yeah,
we're going to give it a listen.
And just the overall buzz and excitement of this weekend, honestly, that was just not our main focus.
I will say though, it was kind of frightening the way George was like, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Yeah. Horrifying. That was so scary.
Car sideways. The red flags hasn't been shown yet.
No.
There are cars still going full speed. It's
he was fearing for his life, rightfully so.
My goodness.
I mean, we'd also be remiss to just talk about the podium and how Carlos, 16 days post-surgery is our race winner.
I don't know if I texted you or the group chat, but if we were going to put out an F1 episode this week, it would have been titled Smooth Operation Post-Operation.
Yeah, you did put it in the group chat. I was half asleep, but I
woke up and I thought
chuckled
of it and I texted, or Boston texted it. Yeah.
The episode needs to be called Smooth Operation Post-Operation. Write that down. And I was on my phone. I was like, yeah, I typed in
But Boston's not our assistant.
No. Boston, I'm so sorry.
There is going to be a compilation of me doing assistant things, and they will still claim, she's not our assistant.
Anyway, so that was...
You're not.
I mean, yeah, the podium is a Ferrari one too. I want to say in Charles's post, he was like, not our best, or the best we could do. I'm like, that is the best you guys could do is a Ferrari one too. His caption just kind of seemed like he wasn't impressed with it. Also, the call for Lando and Oscar to switch. I know Lando's, my opinion, a stronger driver, but I felt like Oscar had the pace. He probably could have finished third at his home race.
But I mean, you do have to. They had a strategy. They obviously know best.
I mean, I guess
knows better.
Most teams were prioritizing their top drivers this weekend, i.e. Williams, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, we're not. The IndyCar, event that we were able to do this weekend was it was number one in our minds. So we're going to cut the F1 right there. And we can go back to maybe Friday now.
I don't even know. I want to talk about the Pato interactions that we had. There were a few of them.
Yes.
First one being when we did the rapid fire questions.
Well, Friday, we knew going into the day that we had certain 5-minute blocks of time with different drivers. So after the first test session, was it after the first or the second? I think after the first. Then there was 10 minutes of driver Q&A, and it was
like media pen kind of, but not media pen, made for TV media pen.
Yeah. It was Pato. It was Christian.
I don't even remember.
Augustine. And Roman Grosjean. And they were like, hey, we have these guys available for you for 5 minutes, but then ended up being that Canapino and Grosjean had other stuff to do. So we had Christian, we had Pato, and we were able to do like, quick rapid fire questions with him, but he doesn't start like, I mean, I really appreciate this about him where he's like, he makes you feel comfortable, kind of like David did before you even start your questions. Cause the second that I walked up to him and gave him the mini mic, he's like, what are we going to do? Some Azumer? And I'm like, what?
Asthma. We're like, what did you just say? And he's like, asthma. We're like, ASMR.
I was like, ASMR, and he's like, yeah, I know it's ASMR, but like asthma's better. And I was like, all right, we'll use it.
When like Pato was the first one we did the rapid fire with, and I don't know if that was a mistake or if it was a good thing, but because he was the closest to us, we're like, okay, we'll just
I think he would have walked away if he wasn't the first one.
It was a good thing because I mean, Pato obviously has better things to do than I mean, obviously we're great too, but like if we did not grab him while he was there, he definitely would have wandered off and started doing something.
Well, there was an ice cream and a churro truck right there. Like
100%.
There were so many good, snack options. He probably just would have gotten lunch at that point.
So Hannah was going first with the questions. Thank you for going first. I would have passed out. But then, so I had my phone because I was like, no, I can record this. Pulled out my phone to do it.
And I'm like behind him. I'm like, Emma, give me the phone. Emma, give me the phone.
I was like, no,
I got it.
My hands, 10 seconds in, my hands were shaking. I was like, Boston, you do it. Like I was like, I haven't been like this at all this weekend. I think it was just really Pato was right there. Yeah. And I noticed as soon as my hands started shaking, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
That's why I wanted to go first, because I wanted to like not have time to think about it. Like I just wanted to be like,
jumping into it.
It's Pato, let's do it.
I will say he was very fun to interview. He thinks very hard about his questions, and mind you, again, they are.
He does not half-ass his interviews,
but they were supposed to be rapid fire. This man was like,
He literally, I asked him the babysitting question, and he was like going through the list of all the drivers in his head. He's
all
like,
27 drivers.
You could see the cogs like turning.
Yeah,
like he was actually like checking down the list and be like, yeah.
Yeah, and then funny. I mean, when we said that to the content team, they were like, "Yeah, we have lots of footage of him just being like,
just thinking."
Yeah,
it was very fun to interview Pato, even just for like a quick few minutes. Yeah. He is very charming, very sweet. I didn't register really what was happening because he was standing so close, and it's Pato O'Ward. Hannah had a bit of a better experience.
Yeah, I can tell you that he has freckles on his nose.
He has freckles on his nose. Wow.
The bar's on the floor. No, I literally, in order to like stay on task, him and I like just locked in the eye contact, and I didn't break it because I'm like, if I break this right now, I'm gonna freak out. So I was like, oh, eyes and freckles on your nose. Okay, and Emma's turn now.
Yeah, but no, it was good. The content was good. He's very he's funny, and
we ran into him right before qualifying. We were at the Aero transporter, and he comes out of the transporter, walks by us, and just goes, ladies. Yeah, Boston and Emma were like,
but we were like
they were like grabbing each other. And
we're like, he's like, oh my god, we're ladies.
Here's the thing is I really don't get starstruck all that often. Like I'll see people be like, wow, that's a really cool person. They're really cool in person, or maybe they're not so cool in person. Who knows? But like he comes out of the transport and I see him, and we all kind of like gradually see him, and just he could tell that all of our eyes just kind of like wandered over and locked to him, and he knows he's the it girl. He knows he's that bitch because he just goes, ladies, and we're all like, hi, good luck.
No, I think you guys fumbled. I was like,
we were just like,
good luck.
Yep. And then later we were talking. It was just you and I. We wish Boston was there with us, but
that was Sunday. That was race day.
Sunday. We were chatting with Lauren from Aero McLaren,
who we'll get to in a second. She deserves her own.
We love her
segment.
And she, we were literally in the middle of a conversation. We knew he was behind us. He walks past us to go into the trailer. He walks back, and we smiled at him. Maybe we said hi or something, but he came around, stood like behind / between,
like this is how far we were from each other, and he was like right here,
and he was like here. He leans his head in. I don't know if we can
say
what he
said. No.
We're not gonna repeat what he said. It wasn't appropriate at all. But
no, he just said something with the race. Like, they didn't have a great race this weekend, and that's just objective.
He didn't say anything about thermal. It was just it wasn't Aero McLaren's best weekend, and they acknowledged it. But so he said something about that. But he was like right here. And yeah, so we did end up getting a photo. They will never see the light of day.
I sent it in the fan app chat because I said well, mind you, the first couple of days we were out here were super nice. And then the past 2 have been so windy, like out of nowhere, this windstorm. And we've got like dust all over our face and our hair is blowing all different ways. So like the photo literally will only see the light of day in fan app. And it's probably already
join fan app if you want to see it.
Yeah, if you want to see it. It's really bad.
Not good.
But we have footage of us interviewing him, which is much better.
Pato, his hands were around our backs. Like, you know.
And freckles on his nose.
Freckles on his nose. His hands were on our backs. When's the wedding, you know? But I will say, he's not who I fell in love with this weekend, though.
That is actually true. We're not going to tell you who she did fall in love with. It was not a driver, though.
It was not a driver.
Some other people that we ended up having a really good time with was Team Penske drivers.
Oh my God. Scotty Mac. Okay, if you saw our Instagram photo, the dog is named after Scotty Mac.
Yes, the dog has been named Scotty. Well deserved. But just huge shout out to Team Penske drivers for just being so kind and so awesome. But huge specific shout out to Scotty Mac for just being such a professional, kind,
salt of the earth,
literally amazing human being. Because like we really like these drivers, media duties are not their favorite things to do. They are there to perform in their sport, and that's really all they want to do. And we understand that media is not their favorite thing. And we, as content creators, and yeah, specifically social media content creators, knew that we were kind of out of place and really not the people they wanted to talk to. And so he comes over and we're like, okay, let's just like get this done. Let's get this out of the way. Not that we thought they were going to be mean, but just, you know, it's another thing on their to-do list that they had to do that was outside of the car, right? And so he comes over and immediately is like, hi, I'm Scott. So nice to meet you guys. Shook all of our hands and was like, and we're like, yeah, we're Track Talk Podcast and all this kind of stuff. He's like, I know who you guys are. I've seen your clips online. And we're like, no way.
But it was just like he came up. He was so friendly. He was so personable right away. And he shook our hands, like Boston said, and just he was like, so what are we doing? Like, what do you want from us? Like, not in a mean way at all. And then
Willpower.
Will comes over.
He doesn't. Maybe he's not on his line as much.
He's
but
a little bit more quiet.
But Scott explained to him like, oh, like they have a podcast.
I've seen these ladies online. They're great. I've seen their clips online. And Will's like, all right, right on, and all this kind of stuff.
And then Joseph Newgarden comes up, and I had actually met Joseph in Toronto. Had like a short conversation with him. I think we talked about it last episode. But he comes over to us and he's like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but like one of you is from Winnipeg, right? And like, so he had remembered the conversation that we had previously, or maybe he remembered the name Track Talk.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, but we're like, oh, we're both from Winnipeg. Like that's like where we're from. And so he right away, like there was no...
It was immediate personal connection.
Yes.
And just they came over and they were so friendly. And like before we even recorded the interview that you guys see online, like we just had about 5 minutes of good chit chat of all of us, specifically them two, of just Will, Scott, and Joseph being just like the kindest, most awesome people to talk to. They were so friendly, so welcoming. We went ahead, we filmed our thing. Unfortunately, their 2 mics cut out, so that's why we have like those like little title cards in it. But it was such a good interview. And it just went so well.
I think the part that got me the most was when Joseph Newgarden, because he was like, because the question was who has the most media duties, and he's like, well, I have to do the most media duties. He's like,
no,
what?
That's not what the question was. The question was who avoids media duties or who's most likely to avoid their media duties. And of course, Scotty Mac throws the microphone in his face, which like shout out Scotty Mac for holding the mic for all of them. Like we only had 1 mini mic for the 3 of them, so he was he was the designated mic guy, and he puts it in Joseph's face.
And he goes, you know who you should talk to.
He goes, you know who should ask who doesn't do media, and like points it at Will. It's like it was the point. It was like the
flick.
It was the flick of the wrist. Like it was like
attitude. Attitude.
There was attitude
and aggression. He was so passionate about this answer.
But the thing was, though, it wasn't like he wasn't angry about it. Like you could tell
he was making a joke.
Like
I'm not saying that in a bad way.
No, exactly. But like the 3 of them have such a good connection as well. Like already, like they could laugh about it and joke about it.
So good.
We didn't even need to be there.
Well, Willpower literally answered, what can I say? I'm the least popular.
Like, and he was, and honestly, Willpower for the rest of the weekend, anytime he saw us, he was like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
We even stopped him a couple of times to ask him a question or like to tell him good luck and all this kind of stuff. And it was immediate. Like, he didn't be like, thanks, and then try and go away. Like, he engaged in a conversation.
So honestly, the Penske drivers, they are They're
my God.
amazing.
Today when we were doing a track walk, Emma had her cute little film camera walking around, and we see Joseph. And she goes, oh, hey, so, and like when they see the film camera, they're more inclined to take a photo because it's a cool like camera and all this kind of stuff. She's like, hey, Joseph, can you take a photo? And all of a sudden he like turns and he just is full on mocking of just like
I don't think it was on purpose.
I don't think it was on. That's just how he looks. But it was so funny the way that he just like turned his head and it was immediately.
He entered model mode like immediately. It was like walking in the car and then
snap a picture. I was dying laughing.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
And I did actually snap a photo of Colton Herta too. I don't
Yes.
think he wanted me to take it, but I was like,
proof.
Colton, and I just snapped it.
you got one of Scotty Mac too.
I did get one of Scotty Mac. Scotty Mac was excited.
We told Scott that we named the dog after him.
Oh my God, yeah, we told Scott. We're like, Scotty, we named it right before the fucking race. We're like, Scotty, we named a dog after you. And he was like,
Am I that bad?
he's like, am I that bad?
And we're like, no, why would that be a bad thing?
No, like a puppy. Like my mom works at a humane society, like which I don't even, is humane society just from us or is that like a real
we
thing?
call him Humane
Okay,
Society.
cool.
Yeah.
No, I was like, no, my mom works at a humane society and they had a puppy and we decided we needed to name him after you. And he was kind of seemed honored about that.
Yeah, he was like, oh, well, thank you.
like,
That's
oh
so
my
nice
God,
of you
thank
guys.
you. So
Yeah. Huge shout out to Team Penske drivers.
Huge
you
shout out.
guys are amazing.
and I mean, that whole team, they're just such great people.
Yeah, I think similar to how I felt about Connor before I met him was kind of how I felt that the Penske drivers would think about us. Like, you know, I'm here for media. We know that Joseph doesn't enjoy media just from like his Instagram. We know that, you know, these guys are a little bit older. They're not necessarily here for, like, they don't need to build a persona online. They already have longtime fans. So I kind of felt like they were going to be like, oh, whatever, I'll do the 5 minutes and get out of here. And I could not have been more wrong about them. They were, all three of them, salt of the earth humans. I have nothing but amazing things to say about all of them. Scotty shaking our hands when he met us, when he left us. Like, it was just.
he thanked us for our time.
Yes,
And like,
yes.
that was like a big thing. I know it's a small thing and I know it's so easier said than done, but like he was like, thank you so much for your guys' time.
Shook
I
our
really
hands
enjoyed doing
after.
this. He shook our hands, like, so awesome.
That's why we named the puppy after. I mean, there were quite a few people that had suggested Scott or Scotty, but like after our interaction, we're like,
Well,
must be
that.
he's the only one on my crush tracker this week. Just Scotty Mac. And we don't even have time for crush tracker. We'll have to do it online later. But I also want to I'm off topic, but I want to say that last time I was at an Indy race, I was traumatized by Callum Ilott.
Did you meet him this weekend? Because I didn't.
I didn't get my redemption. I'm okay with that. I'm scared.
The only time we saw him face to face was when we went into the driver room to do the interview with
I didn't see him. Was I last?
Yeah, he was like in the stairs or something.
Yeah,
like he just like nodded at
in
us.
the driver room.
Oh, that's
Alex walked in and was like, hey, do you mind if we use the room? We're going to do an interview. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he walked out. Yeah. That was the only time that we saw him.
I literally was there and did not see him. I don't know where I was.
okay. Well, I didn't get my redemption, but I didn't have anything traumatizing with him this time. I was, however, traumatized by my interaction with Nolan Siegel. Oh my God.
The huge disclaimer, nothing wrong with Nolan.
No, he
was great.
He's a great kid.
Nolan is
Great
racing
kid.
in a few races, like I don't like, it's kind of part-time, 4 races for Dale Corn Racing. Him and Jack Harvey are splitting the car. Also, Jack Harvey, hell of a human.
We'll get to that. We got to
Oh my God.
stay on Nolan for a second.
Nolan, he's 19. You know, it's his first time racing IndyCar. He held his own. He did
was
really
so
well.
close to making it to the 12 today.
Yeah.
Like he finished 7th in his
We were
heat.
rooting for him. We were like,
really
well,
were.
we haven't seen Colton Herta at all. So, and Colton was 6th right now. And so it was top 6 that improved. We're like, we're rooting for Nolan. Anyway, so we had the chance to interview him more rapid fire, like just get to know you questions. And Hannah went first and then I went and I was standing like facing the sun and I had my sunglasses on, which like not ideal when you're interviewing someone, but I was facing the sun. I had to, but the sun was like poking in through the corner of my sunglasses on my right side and I just could not stop crying. Like I literally at the end I was like I can't do it. Like we need to restart.
Well,
like
there was a part where you couldn't stop crying and we were like, okay, should we just like do just Hannah?
No, Boston, yeah.
I obviously am standing behind the scenes for all of these kind of stuff. And I was like, do I need to make like a decision for us? Because I almost pulled Emma out and was like, this just needs to be a Hannah interview because she literally, you could see like the tears coming out of her eyes just because
just one eye, just one eye.
And so like we took a minute, we got her a tissue and all this kind of stuff. And so like anytime if Emma looks uninterested. She's not actually uninterested. She's just trying to turn away from the sun because the way that the sun was angled and the lighting that we needed for the shot that's just how it had to be.
And I just felt so bad. I was like, this is embarrassing. This
hindsight,
kid is 19 years old. He's probably like, why is my interviewer crying?
Right. Like it probably, looking back at it now, the best decision would have been to pull you and just have
learning experience.
Hannah do the interview. But thanks, Nolan, for being a champ and working with us, even though we were being a little bit.
It was a crazy. Honestly, at that point, I was also delirious.
Yeah.
I was saying some things in the trailer or the bus that
I actually told her, I was like, Emma, just no content right now. No, just sit there. Just get your bearings.
The sun was getting to me.
I think it was, that was a very hot day, though. I will give you that. That was the hottest day.
Yeah. So I haven't actually watched the clips. Hannah says it's fine.
It's totally fine. You can't even tell.
Yeah.
She's traumatized, though.
I'm traumatized. And I'm going to be rooting for Nolan in Indy next and IndyCar for when he's racing. But
he's a great kid.
Great kid.
He was lovely to speak to. Like,
I mean, the whole team, the Dale Coyne team, the ones that we talked to, there's quite a few Canadians on that team as well. So
I wanted to shout out the whole Dale Coyne team. They were so amazing,
awesome.
So amazing to us. I'm not actually sure what her
Karina,
role was.
I want to say she was comms or
okay. Because she brought Nolan over to our interview. Her name was Karina, and she was a Canadian, and she was like, we have some other Canadians on the team. Like, we'll take a group photo after. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then we met Sandro, racing with Sandro.
Yep.
I actually didn't catch where he was from in Canada, but he's also
Montreal.
He's also Montreal. Okay. And he was just so excited. He's like, I've seen you girls. Like, Canadians got to stick together, blah, blah, blah.
The best part was that we had that interaction, but anytime we saw Karina or Sandro throughout the weekend, they would stop and they would wave, and if they were able to, come over and talk with us.
Yeah.
Sandro asked us to do a live podcast from their pit box.
We're like, we're not.
Like,
no. I mean, it was pretty sure it was. I actually don't know if it was a joke. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. But they were great people. Dale Coyne and then Jack Harvey as well. So he wasn't racing this weekend.
So good.
We had the chance. Honestly, it was Connor who got him for us.
Yes.
Connor had got Jack for us. And Jack. We had something planned. We were going to do more rapid fire things we had done with other drivers. And it turned into like, we're going to teach you some Canadian slang and you're going to be okay with it. And the conversation was just so funny. Like we didn't get, before and after the interview, like what we didn't record, just we stood around afterwards, just chatted with him. And
confirmed Love Island UK watcher.
He is a confirmed, Love Island UK watcher. His accent is, I like Jack Harvey. That's all I'm going to say. He's a funny guy.
He's a lovely guy.
When we ran into him later, we were with Kevin, who's also from Winnipeg. And so Jack had asked him, do you know what a booter is? And Kevin right away was like, yeah, it's when you step in snow and you pull your foot out and it's just full of...
Yeah.
Or you
he vindicated us.
And I feel like Jack was like, you probably set this up, but... you know what? It was perfect. Jack was great, and so
he sent us a message after.
Yeah, he sent us a message after, just thanking us for our time and the interview and all that kind of stuff.
He reached out to us, thanked us, and we're like,
"That's so incredibly kind."
If there was another puppy, I'd name it Harvey.
Yeah.
Oh, Harvey would.
That would have been such a good puppy
really
name.
Cute. Well, if there's another litter of anything, they are going to be named after a few a few IndyCar drivers. For sure. So I just, again, like this just kind of speaks to the whole IndyCar experience. Every single person we talk to and interact with, whether it be for like 2 minutes, whether it be for like 20 minutes.
Even the fire safety team.
Oh
my goodness. Everybody was just...
They're like, do you need water? We have water here. And we're like...
Some lady came over and complimented my bag. She was like, I've been noticing your bag for the past couple of days. Mm-hmm. And like, I wanted to compliment you and all this kind of stuff. You've just been running around. I was like, thank you so much. They offered us water. Anytime we had a moment, they would ask us how we're doing and all this kind of stuff. And it was just, everyone there was so... incredibly kind.
Do you know who else was really kind?
Who?
Angela Cullen.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So it was the Friday that we had Track Dog sunglasses, and we wish we got more photos of drivers in them, but you know what? Next race.
We saw Marcus Armstrong standing in his pit box.
Yeah.
And it was in between like testing sessions and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, we want to get these photos. Let's go over to Marcus just now and get it out of the way since he's standing right there and he doesn't seem to be doing like anything vital, right?
Yeah. And there was someone standing with him. Yeah. Just a
standing
woman.
with him. They were just chit-chatting.
And
so Emma goes over.
And Marcus was very kind. He was like, oh yeah, of course. Biggest smile on his face to take these pictures.
Yeah, such a sweet guy.
I think IndyCar posted one of them on their story yesterday or one of these days. And we thanked him for his time, walked away. That was it. That was it for that conversation.
We go back to the truck. We're editing. We're doing stuff. We're just getting our ducks in a row.
Ducks in arrow.
And the broadcast is on for the next testing session. And all of a sudden, we look up on screen and Angela Cullen is there.
It's Angela Cullen.
With a title card that says Angela Cullen, Marcus Armstrong's like
physiotherapist, yeah.
And the commentators are talking about how she used to be, Lewis Hamilton's physio and how she's now working with Marcus Armstrong and all this kind of stuff. And the three of us
we were like
gagged. It is literally like we were just, talking because we're yappers. And all of a sudden we just go dead silent. We're looking at the TV and the rest of the IndyCar content team is like, what just happened?
Like my jaw was legitimately, I was like,
speechless. All of us speechless. I think that is the only time all weekend the three of us were simultaneously like starstruck and speechless.
It was crazy.
And we felt embarrassed because we were like, we
interrupted her conversation with Marcus to ask for a picture and some sunglasses, and we did not recognize her. Yep. And we were like, what are we so sorry, Angela. Like, formal apology.
And so it was the next day. I had gone quickly to take just some pit crew interviews, and I was walking back. So I wasn't with you guys, but I was walking back to go find them, and I was walking past Marcus's pit area, and he wasn't there, but Angela was. And I was like, okay, I need to apologize. And so I went up to her and I was like, hi, do you have a second? She's like, yeah, of course. And I was like, okay, I just want to say we were here yesterday. We got those photos with Marcus and those glasses. And afterwards we left, we realized that we didn't recognize you. And she was like, well, why would you? Like, it's okay. And I was like, no, like, we feel so bad. And she's like, no, like, you don't need to feel bad. And she like assured me like not to be embarrassed, not like everything was fine. And I was like, okay, like we love you. Like, we've been following you. We've seen what you've done in motorsports and Formula One. And like, it was just kind of like definitely a fangirl moment for me. And I was like, I just want to thank you. Like and again, sorry for not recognizing you. And then I asked her, or then later I was leaving, and then I was like, oh my God, I could interview her for the pit questions. And then I went to go back, and now she was with Marcus. And so I kind of interrupted their conversation, totally disregarded Marcus. I don't even care. I mean, I do care. I love Marcus. He's great, fun guy. But I was like, oh, just quickly, like, I'm wondering if you have a minute. I would love to ask you a few questions. And she was like, I'll be right back. And I was like, she's not coming back. And I was like, why would she? Like, I admitted I didn't recognize her. She has better things to do. It was fine. So then I went to go find Hannah in Boston, and then we were chatting with Kevin for a bit. And then
she is walking. We can see her walking from the paddock to the pit lane.
And she just waves at us.
And she's waving. And she's looking in our general direction. And I didn't think she was waving at us. And I was like, there must be someone behind me. She's getting closer and closer and closer to Emma and all this kind of stuff. And then she goes up to Emma and she's like, okay, I'm ready now. And I was like, I was unaware that we were going to have time with Angela right now. And I'm just like,
I was like, oh, she came back. Not that I didn't think that she was too good to come back, but I was like, she probably does have better things to do. And I was like, it's very easy to forget, or to like, we're just content creators. Like, we're not there to help with anyone's race. Like, she's got a real job. She's busy. But the fact that she said she'd come back and she did, like, that goes a long way. And so, yeah, so we interviewed her, asked her a few questions. And then again, for the remainder of the weekend, when she saw us, she came over and talked to us, or we came and talked to her. She was wearing Lewis Hamilton's jacket today. We touched it.
Yep. It was beautiful. We gave her a friendship bracelet. Actually, we didn't have any of the ones that we were going to give away on us. And I had this beautiful rainbow one. It was my favorite one. And I was like, who better to give it to in this moment than Angela Cullen? And today, we're recording obviously on Sunday after the race. And she was like, I got my bracelet on.
Yeah. So everyone that we gave bracelets to had them on still by the end of the entire weekend. And it was nice. There weren't as much fans as there usually are. But yeah, no, Angela was just a sweetheart. Talking to her was so nice. And, she asked us who we were, like what our podcast was, like what we do. She pulled out her phone, opened up Instagram right in front of us, and then followed us. And it was so embarrassing because we were like, we didn't even follow you.
Well, I never thought that we would ever have the opportunity.
Why would we? Like, obviously we're gonna follow people in motorsports, but there's thousands and thousands of people in motorsports, and also,
well, to be honest, I didn't know she was still involved with racing at all.
That's true. I didn't either.
Well, yeah, because the last we had heard or seen of her was last Formula One season, 2023, when she decided to, split ways with Lewis and stop working in the F1 world. we've not seen her since, and all of a sudden she pops up in IndyCar
with Marcus
with
at
Marcus
this race.
Armstrong.
I think this was her first race with Marcus.
Was because they said they connected in the off season and they've been working together. And I mean, Marcus is doing a really great job.
Yeah.
So whatever she's doing, she is really good at her job because she seems to only work with the best of the best.
Anyway, so shout out Angela, absolute angel, and just again,
like just a cool human. Like she
So
just like
cool.
she just uses words like, oh, that's dope, and like it's
She
like, oh my
reminds-
god,
she
she's like a
is
surfer.
The cool aunt that you want to be. Yeah. Like she has her cute little pigtails and her blonde hair, and
Outfits were so cool.
her outfits were so cool. She's wearing this bomber jacket, this like army bomber jacket that they got at some promo that she did with Lewis years ago, and she was like, well, Lewis got one and they had a medium and a large, so I took the medium and Lewis took the large, and all this
She
stuff. I was
took
like,
it off.
oh
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton.
she took it off and like showed us the design on the inside, and we're
Yeah.
like, you are so cool. You are
So
just so cool.
Freaking cool.
And just again, anyone that we talked to this weekend, great connections.
Honestly, we did not have one bad interaction this weekend.
Nope.
Every interaction that we had was good.
Except for Christian Lundgaard having absolutely no idea what I was talking about when I was talking about hockey. But like Danish people usually do. So I was kind of like, what?
He
How
was
do you not know?
funny.
Anyways.
Good sport.
Yeah.
Well, I will, while we're on the train of, amazing women in the field, we also met Tony.
Tony.
And we didn't know she was going to be there because she didn't show up until Saturday. She came right flew
from the
in
plane.
that morning and was at the track.
Yeah, she came in on Saturday, and I saw this woman in this cute little denim jumpsuit with this bright orange hair walking through the paddock. And I was like, I could see her like beautiful hair blowing in the wind. And I saw her face and I was like, that's Tony. And I was like, oh, that's so freaking cool. Like if we run into her later, like we should definitely say hi, snap a picture, whatever. And so we run into her a moment, like a couple hours later.
We were literally on our way to go meet Lauren at Aaron McLaren, like at their transporter, their trucks, what they call
We're
them.
like, we'll be there in a
We'll
minute.
be like, well, we're on our way. We'll be right there. And then we run into Tony, and we were just expecting to be like, hey, we're huge fans. She is so genuine.
We described it as that she has the Drew Barrymore effect if she just brings you in, and it's such a warm and welcoming conversation and energy of just like, she was asking us how we were doing.
No, she was like,
But
how's the workload? Like,
I was about to say, she was asking us good specific questions of like, how's your guys' workload? How are you like handling all of this and all this kind of stuff? Are you enjoying
No one's
yourself?
asked us
Are you
that.
learning and all this kind of stuff? And we're like, yes. And like, I got the opportunity to like thank her. I was like, when I was getting into motorsport, you were a huge reason why I know the things I know now and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't want to like weird her out of like, oh my God, you're my idol or something like that. But I was like, I just want to thank you so much and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, just so like, you want to just like,
I didn't want to stop
like,
talking, but like we did have to go meet
we
Lauren.
did have to go, and like we ran into her a couple times throughout the weekend, and just nothing but an amazing, welcoming, warm conversation from her.
She's so smart, and she's just so well spoken. Like you
She's
said
so
earlier.
well spoken. She's so kind.
She has a space and a voice in motorsports for a reason, and there's a reason again why everyone respects her. She's larger than life, truly. So it was like we were so happy just to connect with her like a few times this weekend, and like just again great people.
I think one of the moments with her that I was really like, wow, was so everyone we spoke to, we asked to take a picture with, and Boston, being behind the camera, Boston was there, and we were like, can we get a photo with you? And I immediately went to hand my stuff to Boston, which I apologized to her after because that was rude of me. But I had my camera and I had my sweater and my water. I went to give it to her while we were taking the picture, so it wasn't in my hands.
And it also wasn't your fault. Just out of nature, I went and I grabbed all your stuff.
I mean, we were doing it all weekend, like just giving her stuff when we were
Sorry,
taking pictures and
Boston, love
whatnot. But Tony was like, no, we can find someone to take a picture of the four of us. Like, you can get in the picture. And of course, Boston was like, no, it's all good. Like, I don't need a picture to, prove that I met you. Just having this space with you is enough and whatnot. And there honestly was nobody that could have taken the picture.
No, there was nobody around. The people that were around us were obviously busy doing other stuff. And again, I don't need a photo to prove that I met her. Obviously for you guys, it's more important because you guys being creators in the faces of this podcast. But like, just the fact that I got to have that time with her and have that conversation with her, and it was such a productive, good conversation was so much. But the fact that she was like, no, you are a part of this. You must be in this picture. And I was like, I literally had to be like, no, it is okay. I promise.
I think, again, something that kind of makes her stand out too, which I didn't even notice, but you had noticed, was when we had introduced ourselves as Track Talk. Tony had noticed that, like, oh, like, we're Track Talk, like, we host a podcast. And so she was like, okay, so you guys host. What do you do?
Yeah.
What's your role? And, like, you know, I Boss, I'm going to apologize, like, for not introducing you maybe as much as we should have.
No. But, like, we as a general assumption have just said, like, oh, the three of us are Track Talk and all that kind of stuff. But she took the time to notice that, like, oh, you know, we have this podcast, we host it, this is the things that we do. And, like, the way that I was standing in between Emma and Hannah, like, directly across from her. So it easily could have been gestured of, like, oh, we're Track Talk and all this kind of stuff. But she was like, okay, you two hosts, you two know each other, or we all know each other, but, like, you guys obviously do this. What's your role in this? And I was just like, you're present and you're here and you're paying attention. Like, we could spend a whole episode just talking about how amazing Tony is. But, like, genuinely, like, huge shout out. She is such a lovely, lovely human. I can't say enough nice things.
I want to just say that the reason that we do that when we meet people, like, we are Track Talk, is because if anyone has seen us in clips online, you would have seen our faces.
I was gonna say, you would have seen them. You don't see me do the stuff behind the scenes, and that's okay. That's the way. That's the things I want to do. I want to do the behind the scenes.
So when we have those moments where people are like, "Oh yeah, I've seen your clips," it's because that is our faces. Yes.
Another team I want to shout out this weekend was Hunkos Hollinger.
Oh my goodness.
So
they're so good.
We interrupted their conversation with Lauren, just to say hi to Lauren. And
let's pause right here and shout Lauren out and tell people who she is.
Lauren is vice president of communications at Arrow McLaren. She just got promoted from director to vice president. And she is actually the one that had recommended us for the content team for IndyCar. When, you know, the Indy team was looking for creators, Lauren was like, Track Talk. And so we owe, honestly, this whole experience to her. And, you know, just being so helpful in helping us grow and, like, connect with the drivers and the team. So she's a powerhouse of a woman. She is a mom, first and foremost. She is vice president of communications. She is
this teeny tiny little lady who is larger than life.
She runs every single track.
She's such a powerhouse of a woman, and then the nicest way possible. And I say that as a compliment. Yes. Of just, she knows what the fuck she is doing. She is so good at her job. And she just, like, she's so good at her job because she goes in and she kind of, like, you want to respect her and you willingly give her your attention. And she's like, okay, this, and this. And, like, so freaking amazing.
She also wants IndyCar to grow, and she knows how to work with content creators. And, like, she wants to help. She wants to help us. She wants to help other social media, like, creators, other people in the sport, and to give us these opportunities. And, you know, she was the one that invited us to go and sit in the, like, Pato's pit box during one of the qualifying sessions. And unfortunately, like, the videos weren't working. Was it qualifying? I think it was qualifying. The video wasn't working. And so right away she was like, okay, there's a spot for you down at Callum's pit. Like, there's chairs there, go there. And, like, made sure that we were taken care of. And I was like, you don't need to do this. No.
Yeah.
And so we just love her for it.
We're like, she's like, oh, walk with me. I'm going over to the pit. And we're like, oh, perfect. We're going to go watch qualifying and all this kind of stuff. And kind of just, like, in a genuine, like,
we were like, where do we go?
Like, where should we go? Like, we don't know where we should watch this from because we kind of don't want to go back to the truck. It's a nice day out. Like,
she was like, oh, just come
and
sit.
She's like, oh, come sit in the box. And we're like, And she was like, yeah, come sit in the box.
Mm-hmm. She has helped us in the past with the David content that we've made, and we've thanked her then, and she helped us get this opportunity, and we're going to thank her now. And we hope that we can continue she's an avid supporter of us. She has our merch. We brought her a specific bracelet because her daughter broke her first one.
So we gave her Arrow McLaren inspired Track Talk bracelet.
Yes. And there is not enough positive things I can say about her. And I just, you know, hope that everyone, you know, there's women in motorsports, like drivers and front people like us, not like that we're, you know, there's people that are on camera and that you see as females in motorsports. And then there's people behind the scenes like Lauren that just deserve the exact same respect because still a male dominated field. and she just is an inspiration. So
Yeah, it just seems that everyone from like teams that we talked to this weekend really wanted to help us or like not work with us. I mean,
well, that's actually where this whole tangent came in, and I don't actually think we interrupted her conversation with the Juncos Holland. Is it Hollinger or Hollinger?
I say Hollinger.
Okay,
Hollinger.
I'm pretty sure that's what I said with Lindsay today. So, we didn't interrupt her conversation, but she was in a conversation with some Juncos Hollinger guys, and she introduced us to them and helped us explain who we were to them in a way that we had never thought of before. She used the term humanizing the drivers, and that's totally what we do. And like, that's not something that we've ever said, like, this is our mission or this is our goal, this is what we're good at, but like, that is what we do. Mm-hmm. So that and then, you know, this is what these events are about, you know, meeting people, networking. We're still growing, we're still learning. So to meet these Juncos guys, it was amazing. They had such great information for us. They got us Lindsay. We're hoping to continue like speaking with them in the future. Like they talked all about, we learned so much from them about their merch. I had no idea.
They have some cool stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. Juncos Hollinger merch it's pretty cool. Just like there's cool. Technology involved with it. And same with like Roman Grosjean. So we, as soon as we met them, introduced ourselves, introduced the podcast, they were like, tell us more. Like,
well, actually they said, why haven't we worked with you before?
Yes, they said, why haven't we worked with you before? And we're like, great question, let's start now. And so, you know, we're not, I mean, hopefully we're gonna put in, like, we're gonna try to put this in the universe. Like, we'd love to work with Juncos Hollinger. I think we'd be happy. Oh my God,
this fuck ass
hate this chair. I hate it.
It's okay if you're listening. If you're not watching, you're just listening. Apparently okay, I thought it was a recliner all of a sudden. The chair just the
if you saw my feet, you owe me $5 at least.
Anyway, Juncos Hollinger, I don't know when we're talking. I said we were gonna put it into the universe now. Like, we would love to work with them. They are just the nicest people. Right away they were like, oh, we can probably set something up with Grosjean this weekend. Unfortunately, Grosjean did not have the best weekend, and like timing for us as well didn't work out where we weren't able to sit with him. We'll get
into why also. That's another big part of our weekend we haven't even touched on yet.
What part?
Hot laps.
Holy shit, I forgot about hot laps.
Anyway, go back to
but they were like, Lindsay Brewer is here, or she will be here, and we're like,
we immediately
we're like, oh my God,
wait, like Lindsay's gonna be here.
She's Indy next, first year in Indy next, and she just signed with Juncos Hollinger for this season, and so we were like, absolutely, we want to talk to her. And so we had set something up. It was going to be in the morning, wasn't in the morning. It ended up being pushed back. But every time we ran into the team, they were like, Lindsay will be here, like, just come back here at this time, and like kept reminding us, like, yes, we're still good, like assuring us that they want us to talk to her, they want to connect with her. We met with Millie, who's their like social media like correspondent. Again, just great team, great people to work with. The Lindsay clips, they're good. She's an absolute angel. Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's so beautiful. She's so kind.
Did you guys see her eyes?
Beautiful. Yes.
Oh my gosh. She has a heterochromia, so it's blue, and she's got like a brown spot on one of them. I was like, I'm speechless talking to you more than I have been with any other driver this weekend.
But so everybody at that team was so incredibly kind, and they're also kind of a part of this mission to help grow this sport as much as possible. Mm-hmm. They want to be, you know, kind of like a spearhead in this mission. So they are just so excited to help grow this sport and to get more people to tune into IndyCar, which is really, really awesome. So,
I mean, and if you're coming from Formula One, like one of their drivers is Roman Grosjean. Like that's
Grosjean.
A name
you should know who that is. Yeah.
So it's a good connection.
And even last year, Callum drove for them, and Callum coming from the Formula Series, people knew his name too. Yeah. So like, if you're a Formula One fan, you should know JHR Racing. Mm-hmm. So they're JH Racing.
JHR. They're doing great stuff. Like, give them follow what they're doing this year. We're excited to see what comes
Augustine
of it.
Did great today also.
Yeah, Canapino did pretty good.
Really good.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about him too much on the podcast, but I mean, just great team, great drivers, like Indy Next, IndyCar. Yeah, we're excited to work with them. But yeah, why we couldn't talk with Grosjean when we wanted to was because hot laps.
The IndyCar content team was so gracious to hook us up with a really great opportunity, which originally was for them too, but they were kind enough to put me down on the list as well. So shout out to the content team again. You guys are really, really awesome.
Amazing.
And so we got to do hot laps in a 2-seater open wheel car, and holy shit.
Like, no words.
She's going into Calamilot mode. I didn't know what to actually, what I expected was not what it was. And I expected it to be like a sports car, where you're either sitting in the front or in the back seat.
Like NASCAR like type car.
Yeah. Right. And I did not expect there to be 2-seater like Indy cars, like open wheel cars. And it was like the experience of a lifetime. I mean, if you haven't seen the pictures of us in the aero suits, we had talked to Lauren just before we went to do our hot laps, and she was like, make sure to get papaya. And we were like, okay, we're getting papaya.
We're getting papaya.
That was an option for a fire suit, is that we went in and we saw it and we're like, can we get the papaya suits? Like, is that an option? So we go in, we get all suited up and all this kind of stuff. And again, all of us are just kind of getting excited. And I had this picture in the back of my mind, the picture that we recreated of, you know, the 3 Air McLaren drivers. And I saw us in all our pirate suits and I was like, we have to do this. So we took the picture. It was really, really cool.
Your comments are great, guys, saying like, oh, you thought that you would post the picture twice. We wouldn't
thanks
notice.
for committing to the bit.
Thank you for committing to the bit. Yeah. So it was great. And like the team loved it. We sent it to David and we're like, we're your new teammates. He's like, guys look great in papaya. We do.
We also made fun of the size of our suits.
Oh yeah, we were drowning in them. But we were like, we don't care if there's no smalls. We want papaya. Like, put me in an extra large. I don't care.
Right. So we go and like, I wasn't nervous at all. I was really, really excited. And I thought we were going to do like, just like the NASCAR or like a sports car or something like that. We go out to the track and we had to wait a while because I don't know if you guys saw it during the testing session, but
track broke. Car too hot.
Curb too
weak.
Track broke.
So
had to fix that track. And so we were waiting a long time.
Track need fix.
Why say more word when few word do trick?
So they had to fix the tracks. We were waiting a really long time in the sun. And so we were getting overheated in these suits, but we were just so excited. And it was just such a great experience. We're talking again, Connor appeared out of nowhere.
Where did he come from? We're like, you're not doing a hot lap. He's like, no, I asked if I could drive and they don't let me. I'm like, no shit.
Ash was there doing it with us. And so we all took turns and I
panicked. All of a sudden, they were like, "Okay, you're next. Grab a helmet." And I was like, "Wait, I'm first."
No, but the way
you
put you in the car.
Okay, you freaked everybody out.
Oh, I just wanted you to get a photo.
You freaked everybody out because they were like, "We're looking for Hannah."
Yeah, he goes, "Hannah is."
And I put my hand up, and he's like, "Oh, come here." And I was like,
that was.
What?
I said to the guy who was helping me in the car, I was like, oh, I can't get my phone out. I want a photo. And he was like, oh, are you here with anyone else? I'm like, yeah, this girl, Hannah, like she's wearing the same suit as me. I don't know if she has her helmet on, but she's blonde. Like if she can get a photo, great. If not, no worries. And then he was like, Hannah?
And
like, he was worried.
It wasn't just us on track. Like there was a group of TikTok creators there. There were some other people that had paid for the Indy experience. And
I just felt
we were
so
all
bad.
there, and everyone looked at me and I was like, oh God.
She passed out. Like
at first I was like, oh God, she's overheating or she's crying or she threw up. And I'm like, why would she call me if she threw up? Like she knows I'm scared of that. And so I walked over and she's like, hey. She's like, are you ready? And I was like, I'm not getting in the same car as you. What?
Sitting on her lap.
The thing was,
I'm like, what do you mean am I ready?
Yeah. The thing was, like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, if she can't take a photo, if she can't, great. And she had walked over and I could see the panic. And I was like, fuck, she's mad at me because you looked worried. You actually looked.
I was worried. And I was also a little freaked out because I thought you might have thrown up.
No. But I was like, oh, I was just wondering if you could take a photo. And you walked away and you're like, fuck's sakes or something. Like you, I was like, she hates me. She wants to quit the podcast. Like she never wants to.
Emma has said to me a couple times, she's like, what if you're not going to like me after this weekend? I'm like, okay, here's the thing about me. here's the thing about me. The reason that I have my own room and Boston and Emma have a room together is because I am a black cat. Now we've been through this. I'm a black cat. I need my social battery to recharge and I need to be alone because I can get, and you guys can say, I can get snippy if I'm not, like if I'm hungry, if I'm tired, if I've had too much, like if I'm overstimulated.
Hannah and I relate in the same way. I also get the same way. But Emma has since learned that my social battery recharge time is called floor time.
Floor time, like tummy time, but floor
time.
And
she will find me in the corner.
For real?
Yes.
I walked out of the bathroom.
And I'm sitting in the corner
Scare
of
the
the
shit out of
very
me.
corner of the room. I'm hidden by the bed. You can only see like my forehead. And
I was like, oh, floor time.
yeah, and I was like, sorry, I just need some floor time. And I'm just on my phone, like on TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I'm not ignoring you. I need some recharge time.
Totally fair.
That's
I'm
all.
a lot to handle, and I'm not a black cat.
That is not what we said. We did not say you're a lot to handle. There was just a lot going on. Like
that's
I
fair.
was very overstimulated by everything, not you.
Very hot. We were in these fire suits. We
Okay,
had these helmets
yeah.
on and all this kind of stuff.
Specifically
We were
for
waiting
that.
for a really long time. We were also a little bit giddy and excited to do this experience.
Like imagine having butterflies all day. Like that is draining. And also like we had to be on all day.
What would you have
Very
done?
social.
What would you have done though if you were called over and I was like passed out in the seat? I'd be like, get her out. Can I go? Like,
I'd be like, wait, keep her there for 1 sec. I gotta get this for the vlog.
anyway, all I wanted.
They would call me over to drag Emma out.
I would have asked for Boston because I would have been again scared she would have thrown up. Like that's where my mind goes.
I just wanted a photo. It was not supposed to be that dramatic. I apologize that you thought I was dying, but
Anyway,
so hot lap.
we got to do this experience, and
I was-
Connor's advice was to
Hold your neck.
hold your head, because you can't see over the driver that's ahead of you.
Especially
So you,
like we're all short.
yeah, we're all
we're short.
yeah.
You're average
I'm average, but I come across tall online.
because I am short and you're with
but
me.
Even in the clips, my legs are long. Like
Yeah.
my body is 80% leg, and then boob, and then head. So
No, that's true. That is Hannah.
No,
Leg,
that's-
boob, head.
it's true. I have no torso. So thank you so much for this opportunity. So when you see clips of me walking, it's like, oh, she looks like
She looks tall.
Well, yeah, and
Runway model.
there were comments in the fan app being like, "Oh my god, I didn't know Hannah was tall," and I was like, "Nope, I'm just short."
Anyway, so you can't see over the driver ahead of you.
She's like, "I've been trying to say this for 10 minutes now."
So you don't know where you're going. So Connor was like, just make sure you're holding your head, because you have to brace yourself because you can't see where you're going. So we're all, and for some reason, they only got my GoPro video. We
I'm gonna
can't
ask
find
for the other ones.
We should ask, because there's GoPro videos of them too, or there should be. And it was so fun. The track is really long.
I mean,
really long.
On top speeds, I think during qualifying they were getting at like 136, 137.
Yeah.
I want to say it probably took us about 150 to get around.
Yeah.
So just under 2 minutes. Roller coasters aren't even that long.
Like I was thinking the whole time of like, it must be over. It must be over. It must be over. Every time
And
we
then there was
turn a
another
corner,
And
or
I was
I was
like-
like, anytime we get to the end of a straight, I'm like, okay, we're at the end. We're at the end. And like, there was one part in the chicane where I was just like, you could see my head go thump, 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 thump on each
she
thing.
didn't take Connor's advice.
No, I did not. I was trying really
Where
hard.
did you guys put your hands? Because there was a handle. Did you not hold the handle?
What?
I did not have it. I actually even asked them. I go, where do I put my hands?
Don't you know what you do with your hands? Hold this. This is what she did.
She did.
Because I wanted.
She's like,
I
I wanted to feel
the
the air.
It's like a roller coaster. Did I press a button that I'm not supposed to press?
No, try something.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
So I wanted to, one, feel the air, and two, it's like the best roller coaster you've ever been on.
It was very exciting. There were a few times when I was like I just like, if you're listening on the
None
podcast,
of you held the.
I didn't
hand.
see that.
That was not an option.
That wasn't
for
a thing
us.
for me.
You had the same car.
No,
No.
you were in the IndyCar. We were in the
Air
papaya
McLaren
cars.
So yours was safer, I guess.
Yeah, I had a handle here, so I
Hannah
was
pretended
literally-
that she was driving.
Can you keep it? I'm gonna act this out. I was like, and then
My head did fall forward a few times. As soon as I got out of the car when it ended, they were like, "How was it?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
No,
I'm
literally.
gonna apologize for swearing.
I
No.
literally, they come back. Well, what they do is
Sorry,
they
Dad.
put you in the car. They put you in. You can see my eyes. I see them put the bolt in. They pat my head, and I'm off. And then we go around the thing. I'm like, hands up, and then we come back, and they pull me out of the car. They go, "How was it?" And I go, "Holy shit!" I jump out of the car, and I'm like walking crooked.
She's shaking.
And Connor is right there, and he goes, "How was it?" And I was like, I feel like I'm drunk.
Connor videoed me when I got out of the car. He's like, "How was it?" And I took my helmet and my balaclava off, and I was like, "Man, I don't know how Carlos Sainz looks so good when he takes this thing off."
Oh my god. Yep. That was good.
God, like, yeah, we were just all. I was like, is it too late to do this as a career option?
She did say that.
That adrenaline high, I understand why people chase that their entire lives.
But
I don't want to. I would
was
do it
crazy.
again.
I
I
would
would
do it
not
9
do
times.
it for more than 5 laps.
No. So
Do you not think you get used to it though?
when I
Physically, no, my body is not capable.
the first couple of times I did hot laps, I was in a sports car
Okay.
and I got really motion sick because we did multiple laps.
Well, also, I feel like in the IndyCar, not that you're not secure in sports cars or NASCARs, like you are, but it's so compact. Where in the sports car,
you have space.
it's
It's like
a
you're in a
stock
car. Yeah.
No, but it was. I didn't get sick, which I was very happy about because I do.
No, I was very happy.
I was very happy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just for you, Hannah.
Such an incredible experience. Again, thank you so much to the indie content team for putting that together for them. But being kind enough to add me to the list, that was really awesome.
It could have been a surprise. Like we got a text from Mac. He was like, "Hey, I managed to get Boston signed up for the 2-seater. You can either tell her or keep it a surprise." And I was reading the message out loud.
You gotta not do that
As I was reading it because I was so excited about the hot lap. I was like, oh my God, Boston, listen. And then I was like, oh, well, surprise. You're joining
I
us.
had something else to say about it, and I don't recall what that is.
It was a lot
now.
of fun.
That actually reminded me of like track walk on the golf cart the first day. We were like racing Pietro.
Oh, Pietro was so great. we were just racing
We were
him.
racing him
And he was kind of digging it.
in our cart.
Shout out to Julia for one, driving the golf cart, and two, she was like getting aggressive with it. She was like, move.
She was like, we're getting you to these drivers.
Yeah,
We're going to get
yeah.
those waves. And she's like, we didn't get everyone. We're doing another lap. I was like,
Yeah.
Julia.
Well, the funny part is we
okay.
saw Pato, but they were in like clearly like they were talking about the track and whatnot, and then
She
we
just
went around
slowed.
again, and he was not paying attention to us, whether it was on purpose or whether he was just involved in what was happening. He was standing like with his hands on his hips, like looking at the track.
Okay, this is, if you're not on YouTube, you need to be on YouTube.
He is standing. Like they're talking to him, and I'm sure he is interested in whatever he's saying.
Not
But it
us.
was so
His team was talking.
his team. But he was just so diva of just like
Hands on hips, like putting all his weight on one of the legs, like head kind of tilted. Yeah, just threw his head back. He's like, oh my God. Like we were like literally going around
Oh.
and Julia slowed down. I swear to God.
like
too.
snail's pace because he wasn't looking at us.
We were like, wave at us, please. He finally did.
we were like Pato.
Hey!
but no, it was awkward because like not only were we snail's pace, but we were so close. to
Yeah,
him 'cause
he
we're
was
like,
the closest
You have
one.
to look at us.
Yeah,
But-
it was we were waving like we were super far away, but realistically, he was like maybe 5 feet away.
Yeah.
We're just like, hey. He's
Yeah.
It's like, but no, he was a good sport about it. All the drivers were good sports about waving, and the clip itself actually turned out pretty good.
Yeah, the
it
clip
was
was
it was
great.
pretty funny. I mean, there's so much content we put out this weekend. It's hard to pick a favorite. I
Oh,
would say.
I have a favorite.
I mean
the spotter guide is my favorite.
which is something that we thought of
in the bus.
at the bus. We were there. It was like day 2, and we were like, why don't we just?
Well,
do spotter
because we
guides?
were doing media, where we're in the courtyard where there was lunch, and Alex Pillow came over to get lunch.
He's literally driving
Riding
a
on-
PS5.
It,
A fax.
he was
not
riding
even-
on this new Honda compactable scooter type deal.
It's a white box.
It looks like a PS5. We called it his printer.
I literally was like, "What printer is Alex on?"
How do
he's
they-
He's like literally popping wheelies on this thing,
Yeah.
and all the drivers being just like
Joseph.
Joseph.
It was the Penske drivers.
We're like crawling over and be like, "What is that?"
It's like he's got a shiny new toy. We want one.
well, because
can't.
they're
It's
Chevy, because
it's a Honda.
They don't have them.
Me holding all the cameras, I turn on the camera and I'm like, "What is that thing?" Just to grab a video and all this kind of stuff, and we're laughing about it in the truck with the content team, and then that's where kind of the idea came of like, what if we do a spotter guide of what the drivers are driving off track?
And then I had the idea to do David. What?
I said Pato.
To do David's like, they took my bike away bits. And I asked him like, are bike jokes on the table? And he was like,
Yeah.
yes.
No, David was a really good sport. We're like, can you walk sad? He was like, what does that mean? I'm
We
like,
have a first
kick your
clip.
feet. I don't know. Like,
We actually-
Have an original clip of him like doing it, and he's just like flailing his body around, and you can just hear us in the back. And I think I yelled. I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I don't know." It was so, but he was such a good sport
Oh my
about
God.
all of our ridiculous ideas.
Well,
and at
that-
first he didn't really
no.
any bit that we had. He didn't really click to it at
Like
first. He was
that,
"I
like,
don't
David,
get it."
David, can we get a photo?
That
And, like,
one ended up so good.
Trying to explain it to him. He was like, I don't follow, but okay. And we're like, oh my God. Like,
But like, no, he
but it
has to get it
executed-
to execute it
it was
though.
executed perfectly. I would say actually that's probably my favorite footage from the weekend.
I think it's so funny with him. You have to do like 1 or 2 takes of him not understanding, and then after like that initial like take, he's like, "I Get it now? Let's go.
That's true. His attitude shifts completely. Like he's there, like he's willing, but then when he gets it, he's
in.
He's like, wait, I now have this idea.
He always just has like great ideas about like content and stuff like that. And he every time we left him, he's like, "Let me know if you have any more great ideas for us and whatever." Yeah. So
we can't say enough about David.
We had to get like clips and shit from different drivers so that we weren't just like all David.
Yeah.
Like I think it's the same thing that like Indy does with Pato. It's like Pato gets likes. We can use Pato, but we need to throw in a different driver to break it up, you know?
For us, it's David gets likes.
And like at one point I was talking with Alex and
David's comms team.
Yeah, David's comms team. And while they were filming stuff, and I just like, hey, I just want to thank you again for letting us, steal him. So sorry for, stealing him so much. Just like, our audience really loves him and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, honestly, he just loves doing this stuff. Anytime you see him and he's not doing something, please feel free to grab him. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to do something, contact me. And we're like, thank you.
Yeah. Alex also said that our interview with him in the transporter was his favorite one so far. And Alex has been on the call for one of our 2 interviews with him. Lauren was on the other one. No, Lauren was on the other one. Right. So like he's familiar with like, but he's also done together.
Sat in on a lot of other stuff for David. And like we're not saying we're the best. We're not saying that at all. But I just like I'm happy that we have such like a good relationship with David that everything is just a joke.
Well, they also trust us to like they'll be in the interviews and like they'll hear the questions and whatnot, but like it's not in like a we're listening to what you say. It's just like a we're here just to make sure, but like we don't really have any concerns. Like they trust our vision and they trust David. Obviously, he's media trained, so it was a great experience all around.
So obviously you can't see behind the scenes, but Alex and I was holding the camera for the David interview and Alex was standing in the corner with me. And anytime you see the camera shake, just know that I am laughing my ass off, but trying to be so silent about it. And Alex is right next to me, also trying to hold in a silent laughter. And it is just so fun. And anytime you see David kind of like look off, it's because we are losing our minds.
Yeah.
So yeah. Shout out to them.
Shout out to the Aaron McLaren team. David, again, like we could have a whole episode about him. We have had a whole episode about him. But
a couple.
Had a couple.
He's coming for my job. What can I say?
He is Track Talks. Part-time third host.
Oh God. I'm gonna give him that. He doesn't even know. I feel like I had something else to say about him.
It's been a long episode.
Wait, shout out Caroline.
Shout out Caroline. I am pulling up her Instagram right now.
Yeah, tell the people.
Pull up both of them.
So I'm assuming you guys are going to post these.
100%.
Yeah.
We got the opportunity to sit in the number 6 box for qualifying, which was such a great, again, thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Alex. But when we were sitting up there, we're trying to get our own photos to, remember the memories and all that kind of stuff. I posted one of them on Instagram just because it's such a cool opportunity. I never thought I would be able to do that. And we get down, the qualifying's over, we're walking back through the paddock, and she stops us and she goes, hey, I hope you don't mind, I got these photos of you guys.
Oh my God.
Jaw-dropping,
art.
Beautiful, spectacular photos of us, of just our side profiles and our back profiles sitting in the box. I want you to know that is literally, you can't even see.
It's my background.
But it is now my lock screen on my phone. The one of the back of us is my wallpaper on my computer. The most beautiful photos. I went through her Instagram today, her photography account, just most beautiful photos. Please give her a follow.
So her Instagram is captured.by.car, but there's 2 Y's in by. And her main focus is she definitely wants to get into motorsports photography, and she wasn't there on behalf of anyone. She was there. She's like, I'm there for me. I just want to build my portfolio. And so we actually got a chance to walk with her for a bit towards the end of the day today, and like she's so sweet. She's just so kind and like just so like I want to see her grow.
Deserves. I can't wait for the day that she is so successful in this industry, because
she will be.
She
was at Velocity.
Her work is beautiful. Her stuff is amazing. She was hustling all weekend for nobody but herself and her hopes and dreams. And huge shout out. We're rooting for you. The stuff that you do is great. And I'm so excited to see you grow in this industry. Yeah. Like, it's so amazing.
Like, as soon as she sent us the photo, at that point I had changed my background to like a group photo of like a selfie of us with David. But then as soon as Caroline sent us that photo, I was like, oh, this is my background for the rest of my life. Like,
no, that's a picture that I want framed. Like, it's just so beautiful.
Like, we're gonna post it for sure. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be on here. But I thought it ended. But she just has a way of capturing such special moments, and it's art. It was like we were speechless.
Well, I think for us, like that was my most surreal moment of the weekend, was that we were there for qualifying. And mind you, like the qualifying didn't go the greatest, and we, you know, the team wasn't the happiest afterwards, and you could kind of feel like the tension. But before we got to that point, like it was just surreal, and I will never forget it. And I'm so thankful for it. And she captured all of that in a picture. She's talented is like all we can say.
Give her a follow. Look at the stuff I know she's busy editing. Hype her up.
She's so great. And just,
we're excited to post her photos.
We met Hinch too.
We also met James, and he remembered Boston. So Boston had actually met James. You want to talk about that quickly?
Yeah,
And then
so
we'll wrap it
I
up?
was fortunate enough last year. I grew up next to Laguna Seca Raceway. And I had the opportunity to work at Laguna Seca last year with NBC just as a production assistant. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I got to work with Hinch that weekend, and he's such a great, amazing guy. And going into this weekend, I kind of knew, I was like, if we see him again, I'm going to introduce myself, just because he's such a busy bee. Like, he meets and works with so many people. I doubt that he remembers me. Nothing against his character, just, you know, he interacts with a lot of people. I would not be offended if he did not remember me. So if I meet him again, I want them to meet him, because obviously you guys are fans, but I was going to introduce myself again to him. And so we run into him and we stop him. Well, Emma stops him and was like, oh my God, I'm such a huge fan. Do you mind if we give you a friendship bracelet? Do you mind if we like take a picture and all this kind of stuff? And he goes around, they introduce themselves, and I go, hi, I'm Boston. And he goes, we've worked together. And I went, yeah, we have. And he was like, that's awesome. How are you doing? And all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm doing so well. Thank you so much. And I had reminded him of a story that I told him where I talked about them. And I was like, do you remember those friends I was talking about? They said you're huge fans of yours. They're Canadian. I was like, these are them. They're so great and all this kind of stuff. Spent some time, talked to them. And Hinch is like, when they talked about how great of a guy Hinch was, it literally is true. He is such an amazing human being. Love.
Nothing bad to say about James Hinchcliffe ever.
It's like the opposite of a don't meet your heroes moment. It's like he confirmed everything that I didn't know about him.
He is my hero. Like,
also, I learned he was on Dancing with the Stars this weekend.
Dancing with the Stars.
If you guys didn't know that,
he
like,
didn't win.
Yeah, no, but he almost did.
He almost did.
Like, so amazing. Also, for those wondering and who remembers from the very first beginning of this podcast, I did meet Marcus Ericsson. I got to interview him.
I got some really good photos of it.
He was one of the guys that pulled me into the sport.
Did you tell him that?
But purely because of how attractive I thought he was. So
that's totally fair.
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny because he was on the Sauber team with Charles as his teammate, and I was like, blonde one.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, I got to chat with him. We also got to meet Kate, Callum's girlfriend. She's really sweet. I didn't talk to her, but you guys did. Yeah, Boston and I got to chat with her a little bit today. She was such a sweetheart. Like, she did not need to chat with us for as long as she did. And Callum didn't have a great weekend, unfortunately. And she still was like, you know, willing to chat with us. And she's just a racing fan in general, which is, I think, something that I like. And love.
Like, her thoughts and her like just knowledge of the sport and all that kind of
She's
stuff.
in
like,
school to be an engineer, is she not?
Yeah. Like, she is so smart. And like, like, none of like the like girlfriends or wives or anything like that are kind of like on my radar or anything like that. But the fact that I got to talk to her and she was just the things that she said, I was like, I've never thought of that. I did not know that and all that kind of stuff. And just like, I learned so much from her. And I kind of told her, I was like, your words are so intelligent. Like, you have such a unique and great perspective on this sport. I learned so many things from her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was such a great conversation. I have been a fan of her like since before I was even an IndyCar fan, just because, you know, she had ties to Formula One and I thought she was super cool. And she is one of the people who like convinced me that I need to get to the Indy 500 because she was like better than the Monaco GP. And I was like,
I believe that.
Damn, I got to get there. But yeah, that was awesome talking to her. I'm just trying to think of anyone else. Oh, well, we got to spend some time with Caitlin too. Like, it was just so nice to see Caitlin Brown from Team Penske in person. We had dinner with her one night. We were out and about at the track, like talking to her when she could. And, you know, there wasn't too much for them to do during sessions, especially during the race, because there was no tire swaps. So she was available to us.
We haven't talked about the race at all. We're not going to. Alex won, though.
Alex did
That's
win.
about it.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, that's it. It's just like,
yeah.
I was so excited to meet her in person. She brought us Penske merch. Like, she's just the sweetest, salt of the earth human.
I love her.
Want the absolute best for her.
Caitlin, when I grow
I've
up.
actually
She's
found
so
a
cool.
photo on Caroline's Motorsports Instagram of Caitlin.
No way.
And so I
that's
sent it to
awesome.
Caitlin. Caitlin wasn't tagged in it, but it was from like last year. Maybe Laguna Seca.
Maybe.
or Long Beach, actually, I can't remember. But yeah, so I sent it to Caitlin. It's a really good photo.
Yeah, but Caitlin is so awesome. I legit want to be her when I grow up. She's so cool.
I think
that's it. Well, and I just want to cap this off by saying, you know, yes, we have this opportunity, and yes, we're talking Indy because we're here and this was what we were doing this weekend. But like, truly, you guys, it is an amazing series to watch, to pay attention to. I've been sold on Indy for a while now, but if I can, you know, try and kind of convert anybody else into an Indy fan, then that's a win for me. It's a win for them. The racing is so worth watching. The people involved are so worth supporting. And, you know, Formula One, it is what it is. It's amazing. And you can be fans of both. That's another thing that I want to kind of put out there is, you know, sometimes people are like, you know, I follow Formula One. So like, I don't know if I can take on other motorsports series. Race weekends are not always the same weekend. They often are different. So there's lots more motorsports to go around for those real for true, you know, fans of racing, want to watch it every weekend, you know. And
also they're rarely on at the same time if they are on Sundays. Exactly
because North American and F1 is often European. So I cannot sell the sport or say enough amazing things about the sport to y'all. I want you all to watch if you can. We did find an international broadcast schedule that we can put out on our socials. So if that helps any of you who are unsure where to watch, we will put it out there.
Also, you cannot watch illegally. Like, you're gonna have to. Again, someone asked this weekend as well, like, how do you watch F1 without paying for it? I'm like, you do. Like,
yeah, you pay for it.
It's
unfortunately you do. But I mean,
that's anything though. Like, they're in network television to make money. So, just a big thank you to the IndyCar team. I want everyone to watch at least one race this year. It is so exciting. If you don't know where to start, that's okay. We didn't know where to start. Send us a message. We have the fan app chat with a whole Indy section for in case you missed Indy. We're going to be talking a lot about it this season, so you might as well get acquainted.
And again, Paddock Pundits has a really good F1 and IndyCar comparison. It's an older episode, but they really broke it down too. And also, anyone on any team is so willing to answer any question.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Caitlin Brown, she has had people like reach out to her and be like, how does this work? What's happening here? And like, she's just answered in DMs.
And I think that's why IndyCar is so loved by the people who are fans of it, is that it's so much more obtainable. Say if you're a Formula One fan, it seems so far away and it seems like something I'll just be a fan of. But IndyCar, it's right there. It's affordable. You can reach out to people. There's resources. So please, you know, if you're ever bored on a Sunday and a race happens to be on, tune in.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
You're welcome with open arms. And I think that we're going to wrap it there because that was our weekend and we are probably forgetting lots of things, but we also record every week. So
can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I just want to give a very public and very formal thank you to you guys.
Aww,
because they did not have to invite me out here. I've merely just been behind the scenes support of doing, you know, whatever tasks they need help with and all that kind of stuff. And they have so graciously let me come and hang out with them and get to meet them in person. We were only like texting friends. Yeah. But like, thank you guys so much. Thank you.
It wasn't even a question. We needed you out here.
We literally could not have done it without you. Like,
so thank you.
The Indy team was so great with helping with editing and spotters when we could have them, but they're busy people. There's lots of content to be had in the weekend, and we really appreciated to have you there too, whether it was just to hold my lunch or whether it was to capture all the amazing memories that we made this weekend and to, you know, bank your own, obviously, because.
And thanks to IndyCar for an unforgettable weekend.
Yeah,
too.
Thank you, IndyCar. Thank you to that whole team that just made this experience possible. We can't say enough nice things about the sport, about the people. We could continue to go off, but this episode is 2 hours long. And I'm not sorry for it.
No,
but
absolutely
I
not.
think that goes to show how passionate we are about this. And if we really love it and you're a fan of this podcast, the chances are that you're probably going to love it too.
And again, just quickly, like, yes, this is an experience that we're so thankful for. But even if you are just attending the race, you can get crazy up close experiences like pit passes, paddock passes. They're not expensive. A lot of times some tracks will have free Fridays. You can go and you have full access to everything that we had access to this weekend. So, you know, it's just, again, more attainable, more personable, great all around.
Yeah, I think we'll
end it there, I think.
End it there.
So
I just want to say I think that the event was a success.
I think it was too.
Like the $1 Million Challenge was exciting. The format was cool.
It was different.
They're definitely gonna like take from this and like, yeah, it went really well, but like, how can we make it even bigger and better next year?
I'm excited. It's everything about this weekend was just incredible.
Yeah, and a lot of the drivers had some really amazing feedback. They thought things went really well, and I think that this is something that they can learn from and continue to make great, because I mean, $1 Million Challenge in racing, that's like so freaking cool.
To clarify, the winner did not get $1 million. Alex got 500,000.
Yes, he did. Yes,
but hopefully you watched it. Tune in for the next race. They're going to be at Long Beach in like a month. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we've got a little bit of a break here, but it gives you guys lots of time to learn before the next race. Yeah, and we're here to answer any questions. But we'll call it. So this was, you can do the outro? You're going to do it? Okay. This was our NTT IndyCar Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge debrief.
We are Track Talk.
Ciao for now.